What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is one that is unexpected. You see, we've read from r/petty revenge, r/pro revenge, r/nuclear revenge, r/supernova revenge, r/black hole revenge. But you know what we haven't read from? r/regular revenge. Yes, it actually exists. I'm as surprised as you are. Let's get to it. Alright, first up on the catalog is called My Stepmom is Too Happy to Look Handicapped, So an Entitled Lady Tries to Ruin Her Life. The universe pulls an Uno reverse card. I should first apologize because this will be my first Reddit post. I just heard about this subreddit and have been enjoying it while I recover from a major surgery and thought this was something that would be cool to share. Also, I was a lot younger when this happened, so I don't know all of the details, so sorry about that too. I also kind of ramble a lot, so another thing to be sorry for. Okay, where to begin? My stepmom is one of the nicest people you could ever meet. She is also one of the strongest. Before she became my stepmom, she was previously a single mom of 2 kids and survived and beat breast cancer. A few years after she and my dad had been together, she had her foot crushed by a forklift while she was at work. She is now permanently handicapped and can no longer work paycheck jobs. She was really scared that my dad was gonna leave her because when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, her boyfriend had left her. My dad isn't that type of guy, and they both decided that they were the ones for each other. My stepmom just had surgery for her back and will have another one in 2 weeks. This is because when they originally operated on her foot, they screwed up the first surgery and ended up damaging her back as well. Despite all of this, my stepmom is the happiest and most loving person. I could go on for days about how amazing this woman is. She is loved in the community she lives in, and almost everyone knows her name. I'm about as close to her as my real mother. Now, cue entitled lady, who I will refer to as Jerk. My stepmom had just went to the gym. While she can't do traditional workouts, she finds that swimming is nice and a good way to lose weight while not hurting herself. She had been trying to lose weight, and she has lost a lot in that week. She decided that she was gonna cheat a little and get a milkshake from a local dive. My stepmom parks in the handicap parking spot, as she can legally do, and has her order taken from her car. So far, today had been a really good day for her, so she was even more upbeat and cheerful than usual. Sadly, Jerk wanted to ruin that. My stepmom noticed a lady standing behind some bushes, almost like she was trying to hide from my stepmom. My stepmom has her window down, and she is expecting her milkshake to be ready soon, and here's something really chilling. It went something like this.
Yes, I would like to report a regular person parked in the handicap parking spot. The license plate is XXXXXXX.
My stepmom is shocked. She takes a picture of the woman, very important later, and then goes outside to confront her. The lady sees her approaching her, my stepmom using her cane to help her walk, and bolts it. Like, seriously, you just ran away from a lady with a cane. Well, my stepmom was like, whatever. She was registered as disabled, and the DMV shouldn't have any trouble with a false accusation. Sadly, she was wrong. As she got home, after enjoying her milkshake, she was called by multiple different agencies. I don't know all of the details about this, but I do know that my stepmom was at risk for losing her car, disability checks, which she really needs since she can't work, and that they are going to open up an investigation on her possible disability fraud. So, a normal person would be infuriated by this and would witch hunt the lady. My stepmom wasn't angry at all, as she just doesn't have it in her. She instead starts to get her evidence that she is disabled by calling her doctors and insurance to acquire physical proof. She was playing the defensive. I know I am not great at getting to the point, but trust me when I say it is worth it. When my dad gets home from his job, he works in a prison, and sees my stepmom in tears with stacks of papers with her medical history on it, he becomes concerned. My My dad is a very rational and often hard to upset man. After hearing this story, however, he loses it. He was probably angry for about 5 minutes until he started asking my stepmom for more details. This is where the revenge starts, even if sort of unintentionally. Neither my dad nor stepmom knew anything about this lady, but my stepmom did have photos of her from earlier. My dad takes these photos and writes a huge post on Facebook describing what happened and my stepmom's past, and how she did not deserve to have to go through this as well. Now, I said earlier that my stepmom was very popular in the community. This is because she organized charity events, would babysit for free, make blankets for homeless people and people in need, and was always there for a friend. This popularity is what made this a revenge story. People banded together and told them who this lady was. Some even posted her address, which my dad deleted from the post because that is just wrong, and was calling her out. Both of my parents thought this was it and that they had gotten even in a way that took the moral high ground. But oh, this was just the beginning. 2 days later, while my dad is at work in his office, the sheriff from their community comes to see him. This was really weird since my dad works out of town and in the middle of nowhere. It's a prison. There isn't even an Applebee's out near there. It turns out that the sheriff was Jerk's husband. So he is a sheriff. You would expect him to be very respectful and appropriate. Ha! Nope. He's as bad as his wife. He starts yelling at my dad and cursing him out, claiming it's my dad's fault that he and his wife were getting death threats. My dad never intended for the family to get death threats, and he even tried to lean people away from this. Apparently, Jerk has had a very difficult 2 days. She lost her job and even got excommunicated from her church. People had also been protesting outside of their house and berating the two. Some even went as far as to throw and break things. They even had their car stolen and vandalized. It had graffiti on it about how they weren't handicapped enough. Then the sheriff grabs my dad's shirt and claims he is gonna press charges and have him thrown in this prison for something ridiculous like attempted assault. It should also be known that at the time, my dad worked at a female prison. My dad just put on a poo-eating grin and said, "I look forward to seeing your wife in here soon." The sheriff flips his dookie and actually punches my dad. My dad said he would take 1,000 punches from that sheriff if he could just see the look on his face again. Later, my dad presses charges against the sheriff for assault and harassment. Even before the trial happened, the sheriff retired early without any benefits. My dad later decides to drop charges, though because through balancing work, court, and my stepmom's upcoming surgery, he just can't do it all. He was happy that butthole paid the price though, because now neither had a job and both were practically ostracized, all because my stepmom wanted a milkshake. Later, long after these events, they learned that the reason that my stepmom had gotten all of those calls after the lady reported her was because she used her husband to pull some strings. She went so out of her way to hurt my stepmom. Well, it doesn't really matter now because when my dad checked their Facebook page, they had gotten a divorce. The husband had not posted anything in over 6 months, and the jerk was living from paycheck to paycheck while selling some online products you would see on Dr. Oz. The jerk also made a post formally addressing what she did to my stepmom, and she only did it because she looked
Too happy to be disabled.
yeah, because disabled people can't be happy. In the end, my stepmom and dad lived happily ever after. I mean, at least compared to those two nut jobs. Wow. Well, this just goes to show that if you're a nice enough person, people will take care of things for you. But don't live by that. You might want to get some stuff done on your own too, because you see her, she did babysitting for free, charity, and all that stuff. But that makes my heart happy. They got what was coming to them. Okay, this one's called Real Estate Agent Raises the Price of House After We Already Paid Our Application Fee. On mobile, apologies for spelling, grammar, formatting. Also, I tried posting this on Petty Revenge and it was removed immediately by moderators. Anyway, my girlfriend and I were looking for a place to live in a new city where she had just accepted an internship that didn't pay but would hopefully open big opportunities in the future. I travel for work, so it's easy for me to live anywhere. We looked and looked, but there was nothing in our price range, so we increased a few $100s and finally found a house. It was a bit pricey for what it was, but we weren't finding any better places. The lease term was written as 1 or 2 years. We went ahead and submitted an application, which we were pretty confident about since we have good credit, and my job pays pretty well. We specified that we wanted the 1-year lease as her internship was only 1 year long. So a few days go by and we hear back from the agent. Our application was accepted, but the owner wants $150 more rent than advertised per month since we were only wanting to sign the 1-year lease. I mentioned that it seemed unfair that she had taken our $100 application fee before telling us about this price increase, but I kept it pretty civil since I didn't want to burn a bridge for the only viable option we had. She assured me, condescendingly, that this was perfectly legal and that the owner was entitled to it since he might have to go through the rental process again in a year. And since the rental market was so tight, they could do whatever they wanted. And she was right. We had no other options. So I told her I was sorry and that I would call her back after discussing it with my girlfriend. We were so frustrated. The place was so expensive for what it was, especially considering the condition that it was in. It really was tiny. The bedrooms were about 10 by 10, which made me feel a little claustrophobic, and the walls were very dirty from the former tenants who apparently had a couple of big dogs living inside. There was literally dirt and grease smeared around the walls on the entire interior at about the height of a large dog. The yard was overgrown and trashed, but the lease stated that the tenant would be responsible for all landscaping and even specified we had to keep the lawn in good condition. The lawn was about 2 feet high, completely dead weeds. All of this we convinced ourselves that we could deal with. Scrub the walls and paint, get a lawnmower off Craigslist, and pony up the water bill for resurrecting the lawn. Be minimalistic with our possessions. Hopefully the new paint would take care of the lingering dog smell. We had paid $50 each for the application fee and now felt as if we had been bait and switched, but had no other good options and our deadline was coming up fast. My girlfriend was crying and we both felt like homeless misfits that were terrible at life. I couldn't sleep in our hotel that night, but when I pulled up my bookmarked Craigslist housing searches, I saw something new. A place that looked nice and was about $500 cheaper than the house, actually inside our original price range. I cautioned myself that it was probably a scam, but sent an email anyways, and in the morning got a phone call from a nice old man. I set up an appointment and it was great, spacious, clean, and much cheaper. The landlord liked us and we signed a lease the same day. We felt so lucky and happy. We were still angry about the other house. The agent had taken our $100 and raised the price on us, probably because she knew how tight the rental market was in the area and that we may not have other options. It had just been 1 day since she informed us about the $150 monthly price increase. I typed an angry email about how we were bait and switched, etc., but knew that it probably wouldn't get us our $100 back and that they would probably barely even read it. I asked my girlfriend if I should send it. She then came up with a brilliant plan for revenge. Do nothing. First, I deleted the email without sending it, and we moved into our new place. A few days go by, and I got a text message from the agent of the other house asking if we were still interested. I replied that we were still very interested, and that we had gone on a trip but would be back in a week or so and would meet up to sign the lease then. She replied that since we were well qualified, that would be fine as long as we were sure we wanted the place. So we started settling into our new place and enjoying ourselves. About 10 days later, I receive a call from the agent who seemed to have forgotten about us until then, and she was frantic about getting the lease signed. I made up excuses. My girlfriend was very ill. We need a few more days. We are still 100% interested, and I will call her on Monday to set up a meeting. On Monday, I typed up an email. Sorry, but we decided not to move in after all. Thanks anyways. My girlfriend and I smiled nervously together as we shot the email off. The phone rang almost immediately. It was the agent. I exchanged glances with my girlfriend and answered it, putting her on speakerphone. She was very upset that she hadn't shown her place for over 2 weeks and that her well-qualified tenants were dropping out. She pleaded with me to reconsider.
What if I drop the price back to the original price in the ad?
She asked with desperation heavy in her voice. I pretended to think about it. I looked over at my girlfriend and she was silently laughing and hiding her face in her arms, overcome with emotion. I could feel the tension on the line as the agent hung on my next words. Yeah, sorry, no. I cheerfully declined. The agent was distraught. I hung up. My girlfriend's plan had worked perfectly. We felt avenged. Next time, maybe she'll think twice before bait and switching. Okay, the way they went about that revenge was insanely good. Just goes to show, agent lady, what goes around comes around. You want to bait and switch? Haha, no. You're gonna get baited and switched. Alright, this story's called Dumb Landlord Refuses to Fix a Leak. It Destroys Other Suites. I wouldn't say our landlord is malicious, just dumb and lazy. I live in a condo tower where each unit is privately owned, and I rent from the owner of one suite. Recently, my bathtub faucet developed a small leak. I emailed my landlord about it, and he ignored it. A couple of days later, it had gotten bigger, so I emailed again. No reply. Third time. Now it's a constantly running stream of hot water. I texted and he said he isn't going to fix it. Alrighty, Buster, have it your way. So I let it fester, and it keeps getting worse and worse. 2 weeks in, I get an urgent call from the condo board that they need emergency access to my suite because a leak from my suite is coming into the floor below and damaging several areas. Of course, I say yes, and they dispatch a plumber for the leak and numerous contractors to repair the rooms below that have been damaged. Eventually, my landlord gets the bill, $8,000 from the condo board for the repairs, and finally emails me in a tantrum asking what this bill is for. So I reply, forwarding him the original emails and text saying he was not gonna fix it. I never heard back. Half malicious compliance, half regular revenge? I say yes. Or no, not half, full of each. You got 2 in 1, not half of 2. Anyway, thank you for sharing. That was a good story.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.